Today we will read about prepositional phrases. Here we go. What is a prepositional phrases? A prepositional phrase is a group of words consisting of a preposition, its object, and any words that modify the object. Most of the time, a prepositional phrase modifies a verb or a noun. At a minimum, a prepositional phrase consists of one preposition and the object it governs. Sample phrases. During the lesson. Before the fight. In a hurry. At least. For fun. By chance. On a map. Out of place. Off the top. Up the hill. Until midnight. Among the trees. Over the lake. According to the instructions. With the exception of. Within walking distance. Without exception. To the exclusion of. Against the charge. Across the street. Through the garden. Around the word. Between the home and the sea. From memory. Under stress. After lunch. Near the house. Into the room. Below the picture. About the accident. Inside the box. Toward the line. Despite warnings. Upon the arrival. Outside Europe. Down the Nile. Prepositional phrases, at high speed. At risk. At one's side. At a fraction of. At the outset. At the end. At sight. At the double. At one time. At a disadvantage. At a discount. At a distance. At a glance. At a guess. At a loose end. At a loss. At a moment's notice. At a price. At a rate of. At a speed of. At a standstill. At all costs. At all events. At an advantage. At any cost. At any rate. At breakfast. At ease. At face value. At fault. At full strength. At hand. At heart. At home. At issue. At large. At least. At length. At liberty. At most. At night. At noon. At odds with. At once. At one's best. At one's discretion. At one's disposal. At one's leisure. At one's request. At peace. At war. At play. At present. At random. At the front of. At the age of. At the beginning. At the expense of. At the foot of. At the hands of. At the height of. At the latest. At the peak of. At the same time. At the thought of. At the time of. At the top of. At this juncture. At time. At war with. At work. Prepositional phrases, on watch. On schedule. On the record. on the road, on oath, on pain of, on the air, on balance, on a diet, on a journey, on a trip, on a large scale, on a small scale, on a pension, on a regular basis, on a spree, on account of, on an expedition, on an island, on approval, on average, on bail, on behalf of, on board, on business, on condition that, on credit, on display, on edge, on end, on file, on fire, on foot, on good terms, on guard, on hand, on horseback, on impulse, on leave, on loan, on no account, on occasion, on one's terms, on one's own, on vacation, on order, on paper, on parade, on patrol, on principle, on purpose, on reflection, on remand, on sale, on second thoughts, on show, on suspicion of, on the agenda, on the assumption, on the brink of, on the dot, on the edge of, on the eve of, on the grounds of, on the horizon, on the hour, on the increase, on the job, on the move, on the off change, on the outskirts, on the part of, on the phone, on the point of, on the run, on the strength of, on the stroke of, on the trip of, on the top of, on the verge of, on the way to, on time, on tiptoe, on trial. Prepositional phrases, in time, in the forefront of, in demand, in of focus, in of one's element, in of prison, in of season, in of stock, in of touch, in of use, in difficulty, in sight, in a deep sleep, in a flash, in a hurry, in a mess, in a sense, in a temper, in abeyance, in abundance, in accordance with, in action, in addition to, in advance, in agony, in agreement with, in aid of, in all likelihood, in an instant, in answer to, in anticipation, in arrears, in code, in collaboration with, in combination with, in comfort, in command of, in common, in comparison with, in compensation for, in conclusion, in confinement, in confusion, in conjunction with, in consequence of, in contact with, in contrast with, in decline, in defense of, in detail, in disgrace, in disguise, in disorder, in dispute, in distress, in doubt, in due course, in duplicate, in earnest, in effect, in error, in essence, in excess of, in exchange for. Prepositional phrases: out, out of fashion, out of print, out of step, out of breath, out of context, out of control, out of curiosity, out of jealousy, out of date, out of doors, out of duty, out of hand, out of ideas, out of one's mind, out of order, out of pity, out of place, out of practice, out of reach, out of respect for, out of sight, out of spite, out of stock, out of the ordinary, out of the question, out of work. Prepositional phrases: for a good cause, for the benefit, for a reason, for a change, for certain, for fear of, for good, for granted, for hire, for lack of, for life, for love, for my, for real. Prepositional phrases: by degrees, by design, by dint of, by far, by force, by hand, by heart, by law, by marriage, by means of, by mistake, by my watch, by nature, by no means. Thank you everyone. This is Teacher Jamar. We will see you next time.